All right, we are officially getting ready to go live. And I am just ensuring that we are actually streaming on our YouTube channel. So bear with me for one more second. Yes, we are there. So hello, welcome anyone who is with us tonight on the YouTube channel, or if you are watching at your convenience, hello, and welcome to you as well. We are the members of the Alzheimer's Glass and Iron Project, or at least we're some of the core members, and we are gonna go around and round robin introduce ourselves. But my name is Rosemary Oakman. I am the founder and director of the Alzheimer's Glass and Iron Project, a program that started in 2013 at Alfred University. I am going to call on people. I'm going to call on Maria Bentley next to introduce herself.
Hi, I'm Maria Bentley. I am currently working as the Assistant Director of Admissions at Alfred University. I work with all of our art students in our School of Art and Design Performing Arts at Alfred, New York. And I also reside in Hornell, New York, which is the next town over, where I live with my partner. And we have a maple farm, and I currently am active in my own studio practice as well.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Maria. Emily, do you want to introduce yourself next?
Sure. My name is Emily Craddock. I am currently in school pursuing prerequisites for physical therapy, but I am also an employee at Urban Glass. I work as a neon technician, and I also fabricate for other artists, and I live here in Brooklyn, New York.
Elise, do you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah. Hi, I'm Elise Beatrice. I live in Americus, Georgia, and work at Mobile Glass Blowing Studios as the production manager. And I have been here for about 3 years now, building furnaces for the world, and I love it. And I'm very happy to be here.
Thank you so much, Elise. I am going to get ready to share my screen so you will see a presentation. So you'll see us popping in and out as we speak, but we won't all four be on the screen at once. Building furnace. Sorry, that was my YouTube page just playing, but I am getting ready to share that presentation right now. All right, the sneak peek of the presentation. Things are moving slow. All right, here we are. So welcome again. This is a panel called Looking Back and Moving Forward, 8 Years of the Alzheimer's Glass and Iron Project. And I know we just went around and did a little round robin of our core group of individuals, but we are missing a lot of artists, and we have worked with hundreds of incredible artists through this experience or through this project and these experiences together. But there are some core artists that aren't with us tonight that we do want to mention. So Elise, do you want to introduce Haley?
Yeah, so this is Haley Jelinek. She has been a huge part of the Alzheimer's Glass and Iron Project since it was founded in 2013. She represented the project both nationally and internationally through cast iron and glass art conferences. Haley has demonstrated Alzheimer's glass blowing process in New York, North Carolina, and most recently in Americus, Georgia. Over the past 5 years, Haley's participated in over 40 memories in the making, watercolor workshops within New York, Vermont, and Vermont. These workshops led community members with dementia while they paint and reflect on their preserved memories. Haley currently works at the North Carolina Glass Center. Thank you, Haley, for all your hard work. We love you.
We do love you, Haley, and she's currently at work this evening. And then we also really didn't want to present without mentioning Paige Henry. She is an absolutely incredible artist. She is also an Alfred alum, similar to the four of us. She started working with us at Alfred University in a volunteer capacity. And then she ended up doing several residencies with us at Salem Artworks over the years, and then eventually became the foundry director for a stint at Salem Artworks. She is currently employed at the Rivers of Steel at Carey Furnaces in Pittsburgh, PA, where she's currently living. So Paige Henry, just like Haley, we love you so much. We are so thankful for all you've done for this program. And then I wanted to start, we normally have individuals come to these presentations for a couple of reasons. And one of those reasons is definitely because they're interested in learning more about Alzheimer's and dementia, or the intersection of arts and Alzheimer's disease. So what I would do, this is one of our first actual virtual presentations where it's a big panel of us, but normally if we were in person, I would have everyone in the room raise their hand if they have been affected by Alzheimer's disease, if they've lost a loved one, or if they currently know someone who's affected by Alzheimer's disease or another form of dementia. And what you would see is about half of the individuals raising their hand, or even more than that in the room. And I think that really helps us just connect in the room as a network to fully understand how much Alzheimer's is around in the United States and how many people are affected by it. So it is 5.8 million Americans who currently suffer with Alzheimer's disease, which is a form of dementia. And it is one of the top 10 deadliest diseases in the United States. And out of that list, it is the only one that we do not know why it is currently caused. Alzheimer's is a slow, fatal disease of the brain that normally takes between 7 and 10 years to fully run its course. It can start much later if people have young onset Alzheimer's disease, and can live up to 20 years with that diagnosis. We won't go too heavy into Alzheimer's disease and dementia tonight, other than speaking about our interactions with older adults who were diagnosed with dementia, but I am currently a member of the Young Professional Alzheimer's Council of the Hudson Valley. I've worked closely with the Alzheimer's Association for the last 8 years in volunteer capacities, and please reach out to me after this presentation, and I would be very happy to put you in contact with resources or services. So where we got started, we were a group of students at Alfred University. This is pre-2013, 2010 through 2012. We were going out into care communities, and we were leading engaging art workshops with older adults. And we started out pretty rogue. We didn't have training. I was doing a minor in gerontology. We were just a really passionate group of individuals who wanted to create artwork with older adults and really explore art making and intergenerational connection. So we were typically doing watercolor painting classes, but we were also bringing in potato prints, all different things. So here you can see just some of the cross-generational interactions that was going on within the Alzheimer's Glass and Iron Project. And up until 2013, we weren't using iron oxide. This is something that will come later as a result of the Alzheimer's Glass and Iron Project. But what we were really focused on was just that community connection with the older adults. So it wasn't until our junior year where we really started to get fully immersed in the glass community or the foundry community. And what we ended up doing is we started painting primarily only using iron oxides. And this was for several reasons. So we were painting using iron oxides because iron connects all of us. It's in all of our blood. It's in all of our hearts beating. So there was this real meta connection. Iron connects us all. And then we also really, we were young artists. We were inspired by the idea of taking fading memories with these older adults who had a dementia diagnosis. And we're creating these paintings where sometimes they were reflecting on memories. And what we were interested in doing was creating companion sculptures that spoke to the programming we were doing in the care communities, as well as our own artistic expression. So we, as a great community of artists, we're also starting to learn a lot about the metal arts community. So you'll see some very familiar faces from that group of individuals who is going out to the Golden Years Club, to the group of individuals who is now working in the Alzheimer's Iron Project. So this was us in 2013, and this was the moment that program was fully realized. So this is our February 23rd, 2013. We are officially at our 8-year anniversary from this date, where I feel like Alzheimer's Iron was fully realized. So we didn't start out as glass. We'll go into that in just a second. But when we first started this project, and Elise, feel free to interject here. I know that you were very active in the iron casting process in our pilot program. But we, again, we were going in, we were leading hour to hour and a half long creative aging programs. We were also certified by the Alzheimer's Association and the Memories in the Making program to really lead engaging arts programming for care communities. And then there was a component of this project too, where we weren't just making these iron paintings and iron sculptures, but we were utilizing this whole process to raise awareness about Alzheimer's disease. So we were definitely doing that within the student body we were working with, but we were also doing it within the community. So we did a lot of public presentations early on at libraries. We did a lot with the Alzheimer's Association, bringing them onto Alfred University's campus to speak about the association and what they were doing to combat Alzheimer's disease, as well as lead the way in research to finding a cure. And it was really interesting working with older adults. I will say they didn't love the iron oxide, so that was something we shifted after that initial pilot program. But it was interesting. We were working with several care communities, but there was connections you could see between the people we were working with. And one of those connections is always this concept of home. And so we were working with people who were primarily in care communities. And I think that no matter where they were in the dementia disease process, they still knew that they weren't at their home, whether that home was their home from childhood, or that home was their home they moved into their first house with their fiance. They weren't there, they weren't home. So you'll see within a lot of the work with Alzheimer's Iron, this reference back to home. There's also just amazing references of visual artists who weren't working so closely with us in care communities, who created cast iron sculptures in response. And I think that was what was pretty cool about it, was people were able to kind of interact with the project at their own level. You could be like Elise, who we've seen in all these images, who was out in the care communities, out at the iron pour, or you could choose to come in, pick a painting and create a sculpture. I'm gonna let Elise talk a little bit about our first summer at Salem Artworks.
Yeah, so the first summer we spent at Salem Artworks, it was just Rosemary and I. We were going out doing some volunteer work and making our sculptures based off the work, as well as introducing it to that community in Salem, New York. And that was really beautiful to see, like, it grow from Alfred into, I would say, like our first community outside of school. And it really just kind of took off from there and led into many more following residencies, and just expanded the community in a way we hadn't expected yet, like quite so soon. So yeah, it was really beautiful to see and be part of.
Thank you so much, Elise. And during that first year, we were working with 8 care communities, and we were there for about 2 weeks. And what I think was really special was we were funded with a grant from the Judson Leadership Center to be there. And this is what I would consider one of the strongest iron sculptures that has come out of the Alzheimer's Glass and Iron Project. Do you want to talk a little bit about your process and inspiration behind this piece?
Yeah, absolutely. So I remember working at the nursing home, volunteering with the woman while she was painting this, and we were in Bennington, Vermont, and there's this beautiful monument up on the hill, and I had seen it driving around in during the session. She's, you know, talking about the monument. You couldn't see it from there, obviously, but you know, she just took that yellow oxide and just went all over the paper, and then came back in later and made these, like, the lines for the sidewalk. And it's just really interesting how she went around about painting. And it's very interesting working with people with Alzheimer's, because they come in and out. There's those moments of lucidity. And for me, it was just really powerful because she still held that so close to her. So in response to that experience, I wanted to create this piece that was, I connect very much working with wood. And so I took this log and just made it as smooth as possible, like almost just super soft. My idea was that it's a soul. And then I took that same yellow oxide and painted it to have that yellow color. And the idea there was that when we poured the iron into it, the iron was sort of acting as the Alzheimer's and coming in and wreaking havoc on that pure vessel that was so clean, and leaving behind all the charred marks from that experience. So that was how I came around to that piece.
Thank you so much for sharing about that, Elise. Yeah, I thought it was incredibly moving and monumental. And then, as I referenced earlier, the huge part of this program was creating the paintings in the care communities. And so what we were doing was going now back into care communities using a full watercolor palette. And because of that, and because of Elise's passion for glass blowing, as well as Haley Jelinek, who is one of the other really founding members of this program, we decided to expand from the Alzheimer's Iron Project to the Alzheimer's Glass and Iron Project. Still was in 2013. This was in the fall of 2013. And so here you can see Haley and Elise working in Alfred University's hot shop. Maria mentioned earlier that she is Alfred University's Arts Enrollment Specialist. Maria, can you tell us a little bit about the facilities at Alfred that we were working in?
Yeah, absolutely. So Alfred University is a top 10 school of art and design. We're NASDAQ accredited, and we're also ranked number 3rd nationally for glass and sculpture. So I think if you want to study sculpture, I think there's really no place better because of our interdisciplinary curriculum and the fact that we have access to such amazing facilities and faculty. So our hot shop here is absolutely amazing. It was renovated a few years ago. So there's these really great glory holes here and furnaces. We've got all brand new annealers that are all computer controlled. We've got everything from glass blowing to glass casting to sheet glass to neon. And I think that the intersection of all of those was really what sets Alfred apart. The fact that we really focus on glass from multiple aspects and what it means to be a part of the glass community in the larger sense of sculpture. We're really coming at glass from all different aspects and capacities.
Thank you. Yeah, so here you can just see, sorry, I'm trying to remove spotlight so we can see who is talking at that time. I think I might just
yeah, and the other thing I wanted to add, Rose, was our amazing professors. We've got Karen Donnellan in casting, Angus Powers in glass blowing, Sarah Blood in neon, and then our amazing adjuncts and technicians as well. There's just a whole team that really makes everything work within our facilities.
Thank you so much. Yeah, I would say that for me, other than the friendships that I formed at Alfred University and the experience working alongside so many amazing staff members and really being mentored by so many incredible staff members. So here you can see the shift in the sculptural companion pieces as we started looking more at glass artwork within the project. So this is a piece by Haley Jelinek. This is one of Elise's works. And I think what really it made the entire project pop. And what I will say, and we'll get totally to the companion pieces and gifting these works back to the public, but it was so incredible the shift when we moved to glass, and people really became animated when we would start bringing glass into the care communities. So here we are. This was our thesis exhibition the week before our thesis exhibition. This is a Alzheimer's iron pour that we organized to be at the Hornell Art Walk. And what we were doing here was casting iron 2 miles from the care community where we were making the painting. So we had gone in the morning to create watercolor paintings with older adults. We then came in the afternoon to the this is the outside parking lot of the Hornell Art Center. And we were casting iron in relation to this body of work we were doing in the Hornell care community. And I thought it was just an incredible experience. It was one hell of an iron pour. It rained, it downpoured the entire time, pretty much, other than this moment this photo was captured. And I absolutely loved having this giant rainbow come out after us. I said it in my last artist talk. I'm going to say it again. It's cheesy, but I just love it's not a pot of gold at the end of a rainbow. It's just an iron furnace. So then we ended up going back to Salem Artworks in the summer and fall of 2014. So Elise and I had been there on a scholarship from the Women's Leadership Center the year before. And then this year we were awarded artist residency. So I was there as a fellow, and Haley and Elise were both there as emerging artists. This is some of the work we were doing in care communities in response to the sculptures that were on the grounds. So you can see here, we were pouring iron still. We were working with SAW's foundry director, as well as their emerging artists and intern artists to create more work in response to the work we were doing in care communities there. This was also the summer at SAW. 2014, we were really able to get into the glass shop and start working there. And I think what was really interesting about that, as Maria just explained, Alfred University has really phenomenal facilities. And Salem Artworks is an incredible nonprofit organization. And what's really unique about them is they are housed in an old dairy barn, or the whole facility is at an old dairy barn. And so many of the studios are old barns and stalls that they would have kept the cows in. So we went from working in really state-of-the-art studios to really wholesome studios that had a little bit less facilities. This is an outdoor area where you can fully open one whole side of the studio. You can see another barn door behind the glass furnace here. Do you guys want to comment about that shift from the studio at Alfred to the studio at SAW?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that was my first time working anywhere other than Alfred. And just looking back at the different studios I've been in, I can really appreciate the just the hominess of that studio. It was just so peaceful. It was my first experience where I felt like I was blowing glass outside, like fully, and the wind's blowing through the shop. You know, maybe you don't have as large a furnace or as big a glory hole, but the feeling was there. You know, it was just, like you said, it was a wholesome experience. And I think that's kind of what helped me go into where I'm at now, you know, at Mobile, where we build small shops for small people. But yeah, I think the transition also that summer of us doing the glass work, it was just a really amazing thing to see, going from the iron to the glass in those following summers, how we were able to really let anybody who wanted to participate. We had so many different outlets. Like, you want to do iron or you want to do glass? We got it all. So
definitely. And that's, I'm not sure where I'm getting feedback, but that summer in particular, we were working with the interns and residents who were there for 3 full months. So we had the opportunity for individuals who were artists at the park to really engage with us there. So here you can see again Haley and Elise in the glass shop. And then these are some of these glass companion pieces that have come out of SAW. And all 3 of the artists who are on this panel with me have work here. So if at any point you want to stop and explain the piece, let me slow down and we can talk about it.
So this piece here, I remember I did not paint with the person at the nursing home. One of our educators did, but I did make the glass. The story behind the painting was that this woman was painting a memory of making out with her boyfriend in a Dodge Red Charger, you know, when she was young. And I think she might have had a little bit of a crush on the educator that she was working with. So she was very happy to tell him the story. And so we took all the colors from the painting and we took glass colors, which is called frit. And we sort of laid it out in a similar composition as the painting and then rolled that up on a hot gather. And the glass on the right there is the result of that.
Thank you, Emily. Yeah, I think that is something to say as I'm kind of quickly going through all of these. Every one of these paintings has a memory connected to it. This was work that we were doing again out in the Lower Adirondack Green Mountain area. And this was someone's memory of loving being in the mountains and looking at the reflection of the mountains in the water. And I wish that we had time to go through every single one of these pieces and just how significant and meaningful they are to us as the artists, but also to the individuals who receive them back. So we were really looking at these as legacy pieces. And I think moving forward in our future, we will definitely have more of an opportunity to really work with individuals who are interested in receiving these pieces. Right now, we were just really going in and we were leading these painting workshops with a lot of individuals, but we, when we gifted them back, sometimes either family wasn't very interested in receiving them or the care community couldn't get in touch with people if the family member had passed on. So I think looking forward, we'll start doing more of this companion work in the community with people who have solicited that they want these sculptures back. So here are some examples of Haley Jelinek sculptures here. And then this is something I was hoping we could all speak a little bit about, or anyone who's been here for this process. So this is the moment where we go and we give back these artworks to the care community staff. We also have a dialogue with the individuals who created the painting. The tragic part about dementia and memory loss is we're working with people in care communities, so normally they're a little bit advanced in the disease process, but the individuals we're working with normally do not have any memory of creating these pieces, and we don't introduce the pieces back as, oh, you made this. We kind of look at the work and, oh, these two correlate to each other. Which one's your favorite? What color do you like? And it's a really magical moment. And we have been fortunate to host Alzheimer's awareness brunches where individuals' families would come out and they would actually be the ones receiving the work. And as much as I think the care community staff are really excited, there's nothing like receiving one of these legacy companion sculptures and paintings when it is your loved one. So we've been very fortunate there. Do any of you have anything to add about kind of giving back the artworks?
Yeah, I would say for me, that's really just what brings the project full circle, is when we're able to do that. Because like you see, the staff are in most of these photos, but you know that like the family, when they see it, that there's not much that can compare to that, I don't think, you know, to have a little piece like. And I think unfortunately for some of the pieces we gave back, it was, you know, after they had maybe passed away, and I think that became something really special for their loved ones to be able to have, especially, you know, if it was something when we were doing the model magic where we made multiples of those. That's an object that their loved one made, and we were able to give that back. So I thought that was like the most powerful part for me.
Thank you so much, and for giving that introduction to the companion sculptures. We'll look at that a little more. Maria, did you have something to add?
Yeah, I think that this is definitely the most rewarding part for me. I think especially the work that I do personally, it's about the caregivers and really focusing on the caregivers and what this disease really does to not only those that are impacted by it, but their loved ones. And I think it, as Elise said, like this is the most rewarding part. And I think it is really therapeutic and it really preserves that memory for the caregivers.
Thank you so much. I completely agree. This is definitely one of my favorite components of the entirety of the Alzheimer's Glass and Iron Project. There's so many different things that we are engaged in and doing that it can be very hard to pick from. And this, I wanted to harken back to Paige Henry, who we looked at her work a little earlier in this slideshow, and we commented on what a big part of this program she's been. But this was really incredible, and I think for some metal artists, you would definitely question, why are you covering the surface of the metal in an acrylic paint and then covering it with a sealant? But what we really did discover, bringing back the metal sculptures, was that people just weren't connecting with the gray of iron or the rust of iron, where they would really connect over these colorful sculptures. So here there was a woman who was raised on a cattle farm, and this was her memory of crossing a stream with some of the cattle. She's way in the back. But this was the work of Paige Henry, really being so accommodating in the iron sculpture. And then there's other times where the body of the cast iron, I do feel really works. So here we were looking at, in 2015, at mountain ranges. So similar to how we were talking about home and the idea of home, this was something where a lot of the people in the care communities we were working with grew up in this this part of the lower Adirondacks or the mountain areas around the Green Mountains of Vermont. So naturally, looking at landscape, that's something that people stick with them. They have memories of going camping in the woods or going up in the mountains, hiking with their fiance. So that was what we were doing in 2015 with these companion sculptures. And again, how Elise said, we were working with model magic with the older adults, which is really very similar to an occupational putty. It is very clean in your hand. It's an enjoyable material to work with for the older adults as well as for the artist educators. And we were reminiscing about mountains, and then also really talking about sculpture with the older adults. And something, I don't have a slide of this in here, but we would also bring in images of the sculpture park. And another prompt outside of just mountain ranges was, if you could build a sculpture to be at Salem Artworks, what would it look like in a small form? And they would do model magic small sculptures. They would love to see life size at the sculpture park as well. So here we were looking at the Adirondack Mountains in Lake George. And Maria, I think, has a really special connection with a lot of these sculptures because she spent the entire day, one of the days we were in residence, chasing them. Do you want to comment on that, Maria?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think the best thing about these multiples and these mountain ranges, coming from the model magic that we were able to have them work with and create with, is that sensory experience, that touch, the movement of their hands making that memory, and then making that in iron and being able to bring that back. I think the best part about these, bringing them back in iron, is that sensory experience. They're small. We also had multiples, so we're able to give them back to the artists, and then give them to the care facility and then also the caregivers. But I think like having that cognition of, I made this in model magic and now I can feel those same bumps, those same different curves, those different pinches that they made, now preserved in iron. To see that tactile cognition was really, really something special. And I think it brought the whole process full circle.
Thank you so much. This was another riffing off the mountains. This was an individual who, when she was reminiscing about the mountains, she was reminiscing about going to Lake Bomazine at the foothills of the Green Mountains in Vermont. and canoeing with her husband shortly after they got married. So it was really special that the older adults we were working with, you know, they didn't have to work with the prompt. They could create their own sculpture, and we were casting those in metal as well and gifting them back. So here we are at a care community. This is in Bennington, Vermont, on a day that we're gifting back the multiple iron sculptures. I won't get too into this, but I also, outside of our residencies at Salem Artworks, in the summer of 2015, I was a hot metal artist at Franconia Sculpture Park. So utilizing a lot of the hands-on research we were doing in the care communities in upstate New York, we were looking at, well, what is home in a geographical area? And for Minnesota, it's the land of 10,000 lakes. I was also working in Wisconsin, so looking at the Great Lakes as well. And that was something that really everyone I talked to, if they were verbal, had something to share about their memories of being in the lakes or being in the water with their siblings. Or again, I think a lot of people, when they have these beautiful moments of reminiscing, think of like these big highlights in their life. So a lot of people think about vacationing on lakes or after they got married or engaged, which I think is really special. There's also been, so we're going to shelf the companion sculptures, and we're going to talk about another huge part of the Alzheimer's Glass and Iron Project. So our mission is to elevate art and community and awareness. And one of the ways we elevate awareness about Alzheimer's disease and other forms of dementia is by really spreading our mission and sharing what we are doing. So this was an incredible opportunity that we had at Alfred University. This was in mine and Elise's senior year. Here we are with two of our incredible mentors. This is Dr. Robert Maiden, who was the head of the Golden Years Club and my advisor in all of my gerontological pursuits, as well as Coral Lambert, who is the Foundry director at the National Casting Center at Alfred University, and just an incredible woman, an incredible artist. And she really helped light the fire that got this project going. So this was a really special way that we could share what we were doing with the entire community of Alfred University, as well as the surrounding area. And I think what was also really special about this was Bergman forums were typically presented by faculty who had just gone on sabbatical and came back with new research. So it was really a huge honor as undergraduate students to present on a panel at the Bergman Forum. I also had the opportunity to go out to Denver, Colorado with Dr. Robert Maiden to talk at the Association for Gerontology in Higher Education's conference. And we had worked together for several years while I was at Alfred University. And we also talked a lot about the benefits of arts and cultural engagement for older adults at the State Society on Aging and the work we were doing there. Elise, do you want to talk a little bit about our international opportunities and ways we spread awareness internationally?
Yeah, absolutely. So this image is from our stay in Latvia for the 7th International Conference on Contemporary Cast Iron Art. And we were able to do a panel there. It was a huge opportunity to be invited over there just to be able to go do the conference. But in addition to that, we were able to do a panel about the work we were doing for Alzheimer's Glass and Iron. And Coral was gracious enough to invite us to also be part of her earthwork of this volcano, where we worked tirelessly to create this little garden. It was a lot of fun, and plant some forget-me-nots, and we invited people who were attending the festival to come plant some forget-me-nots, and you know, in honor of maybe their connection to Alzheimer's. So it was really beautiful. It was a nice experience, and I love our flower crowns.
Definitely. And this was just such an amazing opportunity to collaborate with Coral on this very small section of her giant earthwork. And we were planting forget-me-not seeds with the iron artists who were at the conference, in addition to visitors who came to the conference, who came up, and they also planted forget-me-not seeds in honor and remembrance of all of the Latvians who had lost their lives to dementia. Maria, do you want to tell a little bit about our opportunities returning to Alfred since we graduated?
Yeah, absolutely. So a part of my senior year, I took Dan Napolitano, who's our associate dean for the School of Art and Design. He founded the Art Force 5, and I took his course, which really taught me a lot about social justice, community engagement, community arts. And then I was also the director of the Turner Gallery, which is the student-run gallery. And Alzheimer's Glass and Iron actually had a exhibition in the Turner Gallery that I helped Rose curate. So between Art Force 5 and the Turner Gallery, I was able to really connect with the program and become one of the artists that comprises Alzheimer's Glass and Iron. And I was able to get a grant through the Judson Leadership Center, which is a Bernstein grant. And I was able to do a residency at SAW that summer. And then we also did a talk as well as a Cuttlebone workshop back at Alfred and the Casting Center. So through the JLC and the Casting Center, we were able to do this workshop with the community, with Alfred University, with Coral, which is absolutely amazing. And being able to do this within the community and Meltdown, it was really a great opportunity to bring it all back.
I agree. I think any opportunity we get to collaborate with Alfred is always fantastic. We were talking a little bit about this earlier in the presentation. At times we were able to gift the companion sculpture along with the paintings made by the older adults back at these Alzheimer's awareness brunches. And it really depended on where we were housing the brunch or hosting the brunch. So we were, at this time, we were, I'm gonna try a spotlight. Okay, we were working first in the Cornell Care community. That was where we hosted our first Alzheimer's awareness brunch. And what we always did with the Alzheimer's awareness brunches is we would collaborate with the Alzheimer's Association. So they were actually bringing the scientific data and research to the brunches. We were bringing the actual brunch along with all of the sculptures that we were creating in response or homage to the work made at the care communities. So in 2014 and 2015, we were able to work in care communities. And then in the later years, we were doing the Alzheimer's awareness brunches at Salem Artworks and having the Alzheimer's Association's Eastern New York chapter come in, give a presentation, and then those were really open to communities kind of outside these care communities. So we had a much larger audience for those. And then there's also typically up to 40 artists living on site at any time at Salem Artworks. So there was also a big component of educating artists who maybe don't have a family connection to Alzheimer's disease about a disease that is so relevant in our culture. So again, we were collaborating with the Alzheimer's Association quite a bit. Elise, do you want to talk at all about collaborating with the Alzheimer's Association? And then I'm going to ask you to unmute. I just muted you on accident when I was trying to spotlight you. So you're muted. Can you unmute?
Sorry, I thought you were going to unmute me.
Sorry, I can't. Okay.
I was like, how'd that happen? Yeah, so our work with the Alzheimer's Association was really great. We were able to go participate in things like the walks and different outreach programs. I'm not sure if the one on the left where that was, but I know the one on the right was in Vermont somewhere. But it was just like a nice thing to go out into the community and see you know, what other people are doing in the Alzheimer's field and things like that. It's just like another one of those things that really helped us build more community around not just what we were doing, but also like discovering what other people are doing and kind of helping lift them up as well. And it's all about community. So that was just really nice.
Thank you. And yeah, we were working too with the Eastern New York Alzheimer's Association, and we had done some presentations as well as exhibitions with them at local libraries and community centers. We, as alum of Alfred University, go back, not frequently, but we do go back every few years. So this was in 2016. I went back and was leading a classroom project with Alfred's Foundry's junior class. And so what we were doing was creating sensory stimulating sculptures. So similar to what we were doing with the Cuttle bones, we were now no longer working in cast iron. It's very heavy. We were working in aluminum, which is much lighter. And we were working with the students to create engaging sensory tiles. And then we were bringing those works back into the care communities when we would volunteer there. And we would use them as like sensory stimulating conversation starters, and we'd sanitize them and pass them around. But it was a really interesting way to connect with these students who maybe didn't have the full time or capacity to create companion sculptures, but were still able to make something for the project. And then we were also doing a lot of programming at Salem Artworks in terms of demoing. I was wondering, Emily, do you want to speak a little to this?
Sure. Yeah, so when we were at Salem, sort of like when we were working around some of the workshops that we were holding, which I'll talk about a little bit more later, we were just doing live demos. And I think what was enjoyable about that was like you had this interaction with the community where they could come in and they could ask these questions. And some people were asking about the process, some people were asking about the connection with Alzheimer's, and so yeah, it was just really nice to have that. And then I think for us personally, it was also just really great to kind of be able to, especially like in the other summers that were once we had graduated from Alfred, we were able to come back together and blow glass again, which was really special because we now live in different places. So that was a really nice thing for us. But yeah, and I would agree with Elise in that it was the first time I was ever able to blow outside. And so that was kind of an interesting experience too. And it was a lot of fun.
Awesome. Yeah, we absolutely loved these opportunities to demo in front of the community at Salem, New York. And then this was another really exciting opportunity to demo. Elise, do you want to talk a little bit about this opportunity?
Yeah, absolutely. So this is from the Corning Gas Conference in 2016. We were invited to demo with Deb Tesaresco at her demo for the conference. I found out like a week before or something. Emily had been working with her in Brooklyn and was telling her about the project, and she was really interested in it and invited us to come do a demo with her. Hers was kind of about she was sculpting Pino Signoretti's finger, and because it had aged so much. And so like there's a correlation there, but it was just a huge opportunity to be invited to do that at such a young age where we weren't super well known or anything. And I just remember being so nervous, but it was a really amazing experience. And Deb's great. And then now to see where she's gone, it's just really, really cool to look back and see all this fun stuff we've done. Sweatbands are a lot of fun too. That was Deb's idea. We got to have a team thing. We all had them on, but I just kept mine on.
I completely agree. The opportunity to work with Deb was absolutely amazing, to work with an artist of her caliber. not only doing a demo, but doing a demo at the Glass Art Society that was hosted at the Corning Museum of Glass. So that was incredibly incredible. It was amazing. And I am so thankful for Emily for making that introduction and allowing us to work with Deb. And I think from my understanding of her, she is really a female artist who empowers people who are othered in the hot shop. And I think in both the iron and glass communities, women are still really pushing forward. They are at times considered to be kind of male dominated artworks. So I think that was really special, being able to work with someone who was so empowering.
I agree. It was really great.
And then Elise, do you want to comment a little bit too about the work we've been doing down at Americus?
Yeah, absolutely. So I came down to Americus through a connection I had made at Salem Artworks with Devin Cole. And he said, you got to come down here. They're building these mobile furnaces. I think you would love it, whatever. And so that was 4 years ago now, almost. And so I've been working at Mobile Glass, and they are just really great people, all about community and making glass accessible. Like, that's the goal, and that's what I love, because for a long time I wasn't doing glass. I couldn't afford to do it. And I think also, for something like our project, we rely heavily on like donations from like hot shops, like whatever it is. Like, we rely on things to help us make our dreams possible, I guess is what I'm saying. But yeah, so mobile's been a really great support of everything we do. And anytime I'm ever like, hey, can I do this thing with Alzheimer's? They're like, absolutely, like, yes. So that's just been, really great to have such good people backing me up. And then, anything we wanted to do some like demos, so we've done those. And yeah, it's we've also done some silent auctions. Don't let me forget about those. We've done a couple of those at some events that Mobile was hosting. At the Hot Glass Craft Beer Festival. And then, yeah, I think moving forward, the possibilities are there as well, to kind of take the show on the road one day. I would like to see it happen. I know that. So, yeah.
Definitely. We'll talk a little bit more about the future and collaborations with Mobile Glass in just a few slides. But the last big section, so we kind of looked at the beginnings of the project, the pilot program at Alfred University. We looked at becoming artists in the real world and going and working and doing different residencies at Salem Artworks. We've looked at our international and national opportunities to spread awareness. And now this is kind of, I think, where we're culminating with the Alzheimer's Glass and Iron project. So we, in the summer of 2014, became very aware that the intergenerational work we were doing was lacking children. And that it was very important to us to instill in young kids, teenagers, how important it was to hold on to your memories as you got older. So what we ended up doing was working with local libraries as well as Salem Artworks to host these children's memory workshops where the kids would come in. We would read Maria Shriver's children's book about Alzheimer's disease, kind of explain it to them at their level. And then they would create a cast iron scratch block, that's what's in his hand, that encapsulated their favorite memory. And then those memories were turned into an eternal artwork as well. So you can actually see, this is summer 2014. I believe this is summer 2017, and a couple of the same kids. So you can see the growth in the community as well as the growth in the project while we were at Salem Artworks. And then in the summer of 2015, we started doing these children's memory bubbles. And Emily, do you want to explain a little bit about this project?
Yeah, sure. So this was, I really like the idea of these workshops because, like Rose says, it brings the children in from the community, and I kind of feel like, it's like this full circle thing where you have, these little human beings that are new to the world, and we are teaching them about what can happen to some human beings at the end of their life. And so what happens is when a child would participate in the memory bubble workshop was they would come in and we would do a similar thing that Rose just described. We would tell them about Alzheimer's and dementia, and just give them, awareness that that is a thing that can happen. And what was nice about that was a lot of times these kids already had a grandparent or someone in their life that was close to them that, may have already had one of these diseases. And so it rung, it struck a chord in some of their hearts already. It was really close to home. But anyway, we bring them in the hot shop and we would go over the safety protocol, teach them about the tools and how the material works. And so they would have this like sort of hands-on experience about how to learn glass. And, we would let smaller kids come in. Of course, they were given a little bit more guidance, but I really think like some of the younger teenager, or even older teenagers, maybe like 10 and up was like a really good age group because they got to really have a little bit more freedom and learning how to work with this material. And a lot of these kids, weren't necessarily exposed to, something like glass blowing. So, through grants and funding, we were able to offer this workshop at a reduced rate, or scholarships if needed. So it was really nice to be able to give an opportunity for some kids that maybe, not necessarily would be able to do that, at any, on a normal basis. And so through the process, we would make what we would call was a memory bubble. And essentially what they would do is we would gather up hot clear glass and they would roll it in the color and we would blow it into a sphere. And then once the glass had sort of set up a little bit, then the child would bend down and whisper their favorite memory into the bubble. And then we would close the bubble off and put a little hook on it so that they could hang it up, in their house or the window or something, and we would put it away. And we had kind of a lot of fun with the memory, or there was really fun memories that came from that workshop that the kids would express. Like, I think Rose, we were talking about the kid that was saying the Mickey Mouse Playhouse or something. And I think the parents were trying to encourage them to say like their favorite memory about their baby sister. And so, kids say the darndest things, but yeah, I think that pretty much concludes it.
That is a beautiful explanation. Thank you so much, Emily, for providing that. And yeah, I think that was where we were leaving offices us in the summer of 2017. We piloted doing some memory bubbles down in Americus as well. But I think this is where we really want to hit the ground running once it is safe to do so again. And it's safe to be back in the hot shops. And we, of course, will take our partners at Mobile Glass Blowing or whatever studios we end up in, we'll take their lead when they decide it is safe. But I know that this is something that me and everyone who is here on the panel really can't wait to get back to this idea and concept. And it's something we are working on trademarking right now as well, this concept. And then we're coming towards the end of the slideshow. We've been with you for over about an hour now. And so we're going to just talk a little bit about the future of Alzheimer's Glass and Iron Project. And I am currently an artist in residence and creative aging specialist with the Memory Maker Project. And they are an incredible organization focused on arts, advocacy, and culture for older adults and adults with Alzheimer's disease or another form of dementia. I host watercolor workshops as well as a program called Art Talks. If you're interested in learning more about these programs, please reach out to me. I'd be happy to share more about these opportunities. But we are hoping to possibly make some companion sculptures. We wouldn't do it in residence. Everything is pretty remote right now and limited, so we would be working with glass artists in their own studios. And then, of course, we cannot wait until it is safe to collaborate with Mobile Glass Blowing Studios again. And of course, they have their home base down in Americus, Georgia. But I think what is so special about them as well is they are making furnaces that are accessible to take on the road. So I cannot thank everyone at that organization enough, especially Chuck and Phil, who are the co-founders of Mobile Glass, for all of the opportunities they've presented us so far, as well as any opportunities that we'll collaborate on in the future. And this is where we are this week. So in addition to this panel in celebration of our 8th anniversary, we also have organized a virtual exhibition called Collective Memory. So this exhibition features over 20 female identifying artists and over a dozen Alfred alumna. And the mission of this exhibition is to raise more awareness about Alzheimer's disease and dementia through that common thread of memory or memory loss. And I don't want to comment too much because the artist has a statement and a whole series of work, but this is an image from the series on Making Memories by an incredible artist named Amber White. And I was able to work with her in the summer of 2015 at Franconia Sculpture Park in Minnesota. And when I met her, her mother was living with dementia, specifically Alzheimer's disease. And she had made this series where she had taken photographs from her childhood, and she had cast metal over them. So the metal in this series was too acting sort of as the Alzheimer's disease and forever shifting these memories and changing them. So really beautiful body of work that really, I've had that series in my room, in my bedroom or in my apartment since meeting her in 2015. I look at that series of work every day, and it's really made an impact on me. And what I felt like when we were putting this collective memory exhibition together was we're in this state of flux. We can't gather as a collective. We're so much about community. So how can we still as a community raise awareness about dementia? So this will be our first virtual exhibition. We have had exhibitions in fine art galleries as well as all the way down to cow barns at Salem Artworks. So it will be interesting to enter this uncharted territory of a virtual exhibition. And then what I also really wanted to do as we wrap up this presentation is say thank you so much for all of our sponsors and supporters. Over the last 8 years, we couldn't have done this without, especially starting out at Alfred University, without the support of all of the faculty there, as well as the funding from the Judson Leadership Center. And then you can see this list of sponsors varies. We've had glass companies who have donated glass colors and frits to us to utilize in our companion pieces. We, for several years, were under NISCA funding through the Lower Adirondacks Regional Arts Council. And for all 8 years of this program, we've really had great collaborative ties with the Alzheimer's Association. So thank you to all of those staff members as well for helping us spread awareness and education about Alzheimer's disease and other forms of dementia. And in addition, so these are our big sponsors and support systems, but we have other support systems at home who I feel like have really been instrumental in supporting the artists of the Alzheimer's Glass and Iron Project. So here are some of them. So this was, we were talking about this as we were practicing, and we were like, we should include images of our pets. And then it was Maria who was like, and maybe our partners too. So here's Maria and her partner, Greg, and they make the most delicious maple syrup. This structure here is called an evaporator. So anyone who's watching from the Alfred area, maple sugar season is coming right up. I definitely recommend getting in touch with Maria for some really robust and delicious maple syrup. And then here is Emily's partner, Esteban, who has been an incredible support of the Alzheimer's Glass and Iron Project, and we look forward to working with him in some capacity in the future. So thank you to all of those support systems. I think we are so lucky, and we've been so lucky Does anyone have anyone else they want to thank in particular? No? All right. I think we covered it. I did get a notification from someone during our talk that the comments section was not working. And what I am seeing is that it is now working. I am now seeing some hands clapping. So thank you so much. We're at about an hour and 5 minutes. If anyone is watching and has questions for anyone on the panel, please ask them in that chat feature on the YouTube page. And I just have one question because we have been on for a while for the ladies, and then I think we will wrap up if there are no comments in the chat section. But my question that I had for everyone was, if you were to create a memory bubble based on one memory with the Alzheimer's Glass and Iron Project, what would be that one memory you would want to encapsulate?
For me, I would say it was from like the nursing home in Hornell. There was this woman who just wasn't speaking really at all, and we were doing the paintings, and then she finally started talking, and it was just such a beautiful moment, and I will never forget that. So hopefully I will never forget that, and I would put it in a memory bubble for sure.
That is so beautiful. And thank you for commenting on that, Elise. I think that is something I now have a master's degree. I have spent the last 8 years really looking into the science of why arts and cultural engagement is so beneficial for people with a memory loss diagnosis. But I used to not have those that literature under my belt. And I used to really be like, it's fucking magic. Like, we are going in there, we're creating art, and people who are working with these individuals day to day, like the care staff, I can't tell you, at least a dozen times, were so amazed that the individuals we were working with were verbalizing. And I think that was absolutely incredible. And I now know it's that we were spending so much one-on-one time and really engaging individuals and spending that quality time with people and slowing things down. And so it wasn't magic. It wasn't a generational engagement, but it was incredible. It's incredible to see. Does anyone else have a memory?
Yeah, I have one. We were at Salem Artworks, and we went to visit one of the nursing homes out there. And there was this gentleman who he had early onset dementia, but he used to be an artist, and he hadn't drawn in many years. And we gave him a piece of paper, and he started drawing, and you could just see like he just got happier and happier as the session went on, and he was just thrilled to be able to like engage and interact with young people, in particular, like to talk about the arts. And it was just nice to bring a little bit of joy to this guy's life, when it was something that like meant a lot to him personally.
Beautiful.
Yeah, I would have to say my favorite memory parallels to the work I do on a daily basis, which is working with college age students and helping them through that identity development. And a lot of them are asking that question, like, am I an artist? I am an artist, like really kind of verbalizing that to themselves and thinking about that identity process. And I was working with one individual in one of our workshops, and we had brought back a piece that they had made, and they had said, I'm an artist. I am an artist. Like, so just to have that like moment of creation that with those individuals in the workshops, and then that's something that I am able to help these college students develop with every day. It's really special. So that's my favorite memory.
That is, for me, it's so hard to select. And I think because the other panelists have all selected engaging times with older adults, I'm going to look at the intergenerational connection for my memory. Although I would, if we were just doing memory bubbles, I have a room full of my memory bubbles associated with this program and all of these incredible artists I've been able to work with. But for me, it was the connection with some of the youth in the community at SAW. or Salem Artworks. And we were going back year after year. And so some of the children went through several of our Memory Bubble workshops with us, or the cast iron tiles if it was in 2013 or 14. And what was really incredible for me as an educator was seeing these young kids understanding of dementia grow, their understanding of Alzheimer's disease. If when we would ask them in the beginning, in later years, what do you already know about the disease? And their minds are like sponges, kids. They could explain it better than I could. So they were really incredible. And I think that was just amazing, like seeing that impact where we were really shifting the understanding of children, but also really instilling this advocacy component in the kids. For me, that just, I always beamed with pride hearing the children talk more about their understanding of dementia. And I am now I'm looking still back in the chat. I don't see any questions in the chat. I believe that this has been one doozy of a slideshow presentation as well as a panel. So if there are no more questions, I am going to wish everyone a very pleasant evening. And I cannot thank Maria Bentley, Elise Beatrice, and Emily Craddock enough for being here with us this evening to celebrate the 8th anniversary of the Alzheimer's Glass and Iron Project.
Woo!
I know.
Oh, thank you, Rose.
And we stay connected. Definitely check out that collective memory exhibition coming up. It launches on Friday at 5 p.m. And we'll have spotlights on all of the artists who are in that in that exhibition on our social media pages. And then we'll probably continue doing some virtual events during the pandemic. And stay tuned. We cannot wait to get back in the hot shop in the care communities when it is safe. So thank you so much for being with us. Have a lovely